am going to talk to you today about desires. There are so many different teachings on desires and like, why is a desire even important? I remember speaking to one of my mentors, last year about what I believe desires were and how it affected how I created, manifested, brought new things into my life. And, many people are like goal driven. And some of you that are listening to this, you're like, okay, what's the difference between a desire and a goal? Or what's the difference between an intention? Or if I wanted to just do something, I'm just going to go and get it. So many of the women I work with are very alpha, female driven, high achieving, overachieving women. And maybe some of you that are listening, they're like that. Maybe some of you are not that way, but this is for those of you that are. Now, when I used to be in my very prominent, dominant, masculine state, I don't know how else to say it, but I was very goal driven. Like, my to-do lists were like, they were the most epic lists ever. Like I would sit and write them out, like all the things I was going to do for the day, the week, that month, the year, like everything was just like, and the moment that I like check something off on that list, it was like, oh, it was that feeling of like, oh, I did it. Now, goals, super, super important. They're great to do. Goals are great because they're like, this is what I want to achieve. And a goal is something that I feel like, we all should have them. I feel like desires are like on another level. They're like what are sitting in your soul. Like goals are, I feel like what our human wants us to do, right? It's more of like it's coming from the ego. It's more of a masculine dominant trait because goals are like you have a plan, you have a strategy, you're going to get it done. It's like there's a time limit when it's going to happen. When it, when one goal is done, what's the next goal, and et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like goals are what are important, but I feel like they're more what we think. So they're in our mind, that masculine energy, what we should do. Where the difference is a desire. A desire to me, and this is how I teach it, and I see a lot of people reteaching it this way, than what I've taught, which is great because I would love everybody to get into this energy. But before I explain it to you, I want to say, like, I ask women, and it's all the time, I'm like, what do you desire? And she'll be like, huh? And one of my programs, Accessing the Quantum through Emotional Self-Mastery, one of the modules is on desire, because we really can't like ask the universe or manifest for something or create if we don't know what we desire. We could, like, people have written down all the time, I want $1 million. Like, I want a brand new car. Like, do you really want that? Or is it like what you think you want? Where a desire is something that comes from, I guess, the seat of your soul. It comes from within you. It's like sometimes you just don't know why you want it, but you do. And it's like a place of like, that feeling of when you have that end result, or you have that, experience, or you have that item, it's going to make you feel a certain way where it's just magical, right? And you can't explain it. With goals, it's like there's steps and there's stages. It's like, I've got to do this, this, and this to get here. And it's usually like surrounding by a lot of hard work, a lot of, strategic planning. And this is why I hear how a lot of women in my world make money, because they know how to goal set and they know how to hustle. And hustling is good, right? Like hustling gets you those goals. And that's where that masculine energy comes in. When you're in your feminine, you straight come from desire, because desire is an unexplainable thing. It's just, the feeling of it. And when I sit there and explain what a desire is, it's sometimes something that you don't even know why you want it. You don't even know why it's coming to you. You just know that it's like, yeah, that's definitely something it would make my life feel so good if I had it. You might desire to take a trip somewhere, but it might not be a goal, but it's something that you really love. Desires come from a place of true connection to yourself, like to your higher self, to your all-knowing. It is not something that actually always makes sense, but they're there for us to honor it, because they're there for a reason, without judgment. And I truly do believe desires aren't something that we have to like work hard to have. They're just things that we have within us that are really like allowing us to grow as humans and spiritual beings, right? Um, a desire could be, for me, I desire to own a G-Wagon. I'm just giving a big one. People could say, well, isn't that a goal? Well, yes and no. Like, I feel like when we have really big desires out there, they don't make sense to people. They don't make sense to yourself. And they're out there, like, being the end result of what you want to, acquire and have. Some people might have a goal of making $1 million, but like, why do you want to make $1 million? Why do you want to make that money? What is having that money going to fulfill within you? And so a desire is something that's like, you know, somewhat more effortless. It's like, oh gosh, that would feel so nice to have. That's what I would love to experience in my life. And when we let our desires lead, what happens is that we take our foot off of them, and we just kind of like have this big feeling. And it's almost pretty grandiose, because when you look at a true desire, it's not something, I mean, a small desire could be like, I desire free guacamole at, Chipotle or something, or I desire someone to go pick up my tea for me. That's something there, like, where you're not making as much effort around it, right? But what I really want you to say is that there is this feeling that comes attached to a desire. In Hawkins' scale, the vibrational scale, if you don't know it, you should go look it up. But he has desire in a very low ranking, because he feels like desires are sometimes like needs and wants. And for me, I feel like it's a true reflection of, and this is where I disagree with him, but I feel like, because the way I teach it and the way it works and the way I've experienced it, I can see another side to it when we understand it. But he looks at it as a need and a want, which is in a lower frequency, but a desire from your soul self, from your true state of like magic. It's a place of like, wow, wow, wow. And sometimes we don't want to tell people what we desire, because we are like, if they actually knew, what would they think and say about us? So I always ask a woman to sit down and write out, what if you had a magic wand right now? So there's no goals, there's no having to work on it. What would you really want in this life, right? What would you desire? What would, if the having of it, the experience of it, how would it make you feel? And the truest way to get connected to that is when we are in touch with that feminine side, that spiritual side of us, that side of us that's not overthinking. Because what happens with desires is this: a woman will say, I desire $1 million. And then what will happen is she'll be like, well, how am I going to do it? Like, that's so ridiculous. That's never going to happen. That's almost impossible. She goes straight to her head, out of her heart, out of her soul self. A desire does not make sense. It's not supposed to make sense. It is like part of the big vision. It's part of the dream. It's part of the feeling. It's not supposed to make sense. Desires are there because your heart's telling you like, hey, or your higher self saying, hey, you get to have this. Maybe you've already had it once. Maybe it's been an experience that's on its way to you, and you just have to connect to it more. So one of the exercises that I teach is to make a desires list, right? Not a goal list, but desires. Like, if money wasn't an object, if you didn't have to work for it, if you didn't have to figure out the how or the when, what would you really, really want in your life? How would you want your life to look, right? Because desires will really unveil and show you areas of your life where maybe you have not allowed yourself to dream really big or to expand a vision. A lot of the times when we're like goal setting, we're doing things that seem somewhat realistic, achievable. So it puts a cap on all the things that we can, create and have in our life. But when we have a desire, the desire goes and expands beyond what we can see right now. It's like, it's beyond what is available for your mind to think is attainable, right? It's beyond. And if we let those desires lead, what it does is it expands us from our thinking, our behavior, our actions that our current human is seeing, right in front of them. Where it's beyond. So like, I'm going to give you an example of myself. And, I was reading some chick talking about a podcast. This is probably my 10th or 11th episode. I don't even know, but, saying, don't share your experiences, but I feel like my community loves my experiences. So, if you don't like my experiences, I apologize, but I'm not going to apologize. I'm just going to tell you that probably not for you, because I like to teach through real life and things that I've embodied. So for example, I've told this story quite a few times if you've been in my world. If you're not, it's new. June 2020 was my birthday. I'm a Gemini. And my business was just blowing up. And I know it was the pandemic and everybody was like, things were crazy happening. But I remember like I'd gone to celebrate a really big month. I'd made $300,000, I think, that month. And that was my daughter's birthday. And we kind of secretly went and got a hotel because everybody was kind of crazy. And I remember coming back home and like sitting on the edge of the couch and drinking some champagne because I was really excited about the month that I had. And my legs were dangling over the side of the couch. And I was like, this time next year, it just came into me. Like the thought, the feelings, everything just came into me. I will have made $1 million cash. That wasn't a goal. It was just something like, oh, what if that, like, what are the possibilities that could be true? How big can I expand the belief systems that I had in that moment? I was feeling it, but sometimes what happens to us, we feel these big, grandiose desires, but we stuff them down through logic. We stuff them down because they don't make sense. We stuff them down. We don't give them volume because we're like, that's just impossible. In that moment, I decided that that big dream was possible. That desire, what are the chances? I mean, it's more possible when I say that it could happen than when I don't. And I declared it on Instagram in an Instagram story. Well, fast forward to June 2021, and your girl made $1 million cash. It rolled in. It was the best feeling in the whole world because I held the desire and I didn't put the pressure on figuring out how it was going to happen. I remember there was a part of the month, my birthday had come and I was at like 988,000 or something like that. I was like, is this going to come through? Like, like, is this happening? And then bam, what? Like the week later, I signed up a client and that was it. So then I'd put my G-Wagon on my phone like I do with everything. Like I have, I put, certain things that I want because our subconscious mind is always being programmed. So I put it as a screensaver on there. I was a millionaire and I put the G-Wagon on there. And then a year later, when they weren't even making them, they weren't in stock. You couldn't even buy them like, anywhere. The used ones were like, I don't know, 50% over market price. I had my very own brand new G-Wagon. It is the most amazing accomplishment to know that happened, right? It wasn't a goal, it was a desire. I don't need it. Oh, but geez, imagine if I could have it. Like, so I always feel like we take things and that seem so impossible, but we get this little nudge in us that's like, oh, yeah, that would feel really good to have that. Maybe it's in your relationship. Maybe it's in you, in your body. Maybe it's how you run your business. Maybe it's in, the way you look at yourself. Maybe it's in what you wear. Maybe it's in material things. Maybe it's in experiences. I remember I kept writing down in my journal every day because I'm a manifesting queen and I teach this, I'm going to fly first class. I'm going to take 5-star vacations. I am flying first class and taking 5-star vacations. I didn't know how it was going to happen at the time. I didn't even know the plan. I just knew that was a desire of mine. My desires come to fruition so much faster than my goals. The goals are great. And let me rephrase that. The goals I can check off real quick, but a goal keeps me stunted in my big dreams and expansion of what's possible. And I do believe goals, there's a place for goals, but desires is like next level dreaming and thinking and feeling and experiencing. So today I'm going to leave you with this. What is your desire? And I know a lot of women will start Googling it, looking it up. Like, what is she talking about desire? A desire is something that's unexplainable, but it's something that if you had it, would make you feel a certain way, a certain emotion. Like all of the law of attraction gurus will say, it's the having of the thing that makes you, what is it going to make you feel when you have it? So if you think about a desire, there's something in you that's already having that emotional connection to it. It's already feeling that way, like, ooh, that. Yes. And some of you who have more of a closed heart and you've got that shield on you, you're not going to be so connected to the desires because you're going to keep going back into your head. Well, I don't know. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. Well, is this it? You're going to overthink it. You're going to um, what's it? Try to process something that's magical. Desires are magical. You can't think of them in your head. You might get the feeling and the thought will come in. It'll come out of nowhere, right? And maybe you'll be seeing something on TV and you'll be like, wow, that's like, I don't watch TV, but let's say you watch TV or going through Facebook or whatever. That would be awesome if I had that. Almost everything I've manifested in my life, I saw it and I was like, ooh, I saw these Cartier bracelets on a gal and I was like, I mean, I didn't have any money to buy these, not alone spend, $27,000. And like, no, $27,000. But I had a desire for it. When I crossed that $1 million in June, your girl went and got them. It's all connected. So let's say you already received that. Okay, what next? Okay, how big can you go? And it should make you feel like, holy shit, am I really putting that out there? Maybe it's your dream person, maybe it's something that just seems so unattainable right now, but still that it's available for you. I have a saying called "It's happening." If you can throw more faith behind it's happening than it's not happening, guess what? It happens. So could you just put it out there and say it's happening and leave it alone and just trust that it's going to come to you? That is going to be the hardest thing, but the fastest, easiest way of getting all the things that you want. And we'll talk about it more in upcoming episodes. So go make a desires list. What is it that you desire? What is it that if you had it, like it would feel not like my whole life would change, but wow, that would feel so amazing if I did. It could be something so small like cotton candy. It could be, something so big like a jet. I don't know, but tap in, let yourself like just experience the feeling of it. It's going to be a game changer for you. If you like this episode, please leave me some feedback, go leave me a review, share it with one of your friends. Maybe someone needs to hear this or a family member. Maybe someone else is just stuck in their head with their goals and they're not tapping into their desires. Desires is that feminine energy. It's that frequency of just feeling into what's possible in your life without having to figure it out. It is such a strong, deep connection, especially to us women that are becoming the quantum woman. It's like allowing and knowing and trusting that whatever you desire is already sitting here waiting for you to come right on in. Just, are you open to receiving it? Go download my wealth meditation. If you have not listened to it yet, it's on my website at shaminataylor.com. And you can join my Quantum Woman group on Facebook, or just find me on the platforms, the YouTubes, the TikToks. And if you're interested in finding out more about desires, I do have a program called Accessing the Quantum through Emotional Self-Mastery. It is such a great, great, great program with tons of testimonials. And, that's a program you should definitely sign up for. All right. Talk to you soon. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.